Adventures. My name is Lisa Keegan and this week's all winter warmers. So I really hope you're enjoying the series. Now today we're doing braised lamb shanks, and you know what? I have not made lamb shanks probably since we've had kids, so over 11 years. So I'm super excited to try something new. And you know what? When I would have made it last, pre-children, it would have been without the ease of a Thermomix. So today I'm going to show you how easy it is. I'm also going to show you how I tweak recipes to make them a little bit simpler for myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can be a little bit of not a disaster. I rarely have disasters. But I want to show you today also how I'm going to use less bowls and things like this. Now this is like the other ones that we've been doing this week. It is from the UK collection, honouring their stoneware. So that's where it's from. So if you can't find it because it's a UK recipe, reach out. I'd love to help you update your cookie do to be able to find this recipe. I can't wait for Thermomixes in Australia's stoneware to land in our mix shop sometime soon so that we can do it in that. But I have my Le Cruche something or other pot, and it has a lid. Now this one does need a lid, so that's why I've chosen this. This is one of two pairs of cookware that I still have for a stovetop, mainly because I burn things. So in preparation for this recipe, I have pre-cooked off my lamb shanks. Now you sear them off. Now I folded the washing at the same time, so mine are not very evenly seared. I wonder if I can pick this up and show you. They've literally come off the stovetop now. So some of them are a little bit more seared than others, but that's how we roll in my house. So everyone's learnt to live and appreciate the cooking that happens when I do it. So preheat the oven. First step, 150 degrees. This is going to take 3.5 hours. So it is nearly a slow cook, okay? It's not quite, but nearly. We're going to make a beautiful sauce to go over the top of this. But you're going to see the beginning of this recipe asks us to put a whole lot of liquid ingredients in a bowl aside to later on add to the crock pot. Now I'm going to actually hold off on that, and when we've made the beautiful onion cook off in here, then we're going to add those sauce ingredients in. So we're going to do a bit of a mix and match so that I don't end up with more washing up. So come along as I show you how we're going to make this recipe. So first thing it says to place this large bowl on the mixing bowl lid and then weigh into it some red wine, and we're going to come back to this, tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, puree, which for us is tomato paste, water, and then it tells you to add a few other things. We're going to come back. Okay, we're going to come back later and add that in. So now we're going to place into the Thermomix bowl some onion. I'm not even going to weigh the onion because you guys know that I just use what I've got. So into this bowl is going to go onion quartered. I don't know why it said quartered, so I just did it anyway. Normally I just do halves, you guys know that. Okay, then it is going to ask for us a whole lot of garlic cloves. Now we are fresh out of garlic cloves, so garlic paste it is. It's a fair amount of garlic, which we don't mind at our house. So that's going to be 2 very heaped teaspoons when it comes to a paste. Okay, a teaspoon is a teaspoon of paste is a clove. Okay, so you're looking at nearly a tablespoon there. Some celery, and it says stalks. We just use all parts. We don't let anything go to waste. And I haven't measured this. I've just guesstimated, and it's well short. Oh well, that'll have to do. We freeze ours, hence the reason it was in a bowl, because I got it out of the freezer. So I pre-dice it up, the whole lot, leaves and all, and I freeze it. Now some people do say it tastes a bit different when you use the leaves. I don't know. I don't eat celery on its own, but I do eat it in things like veggie stock, and I haven't noticed a difference. But if you've got a preference, by all means do that. Save your leaves though for your veggie stock. Don't let them go to waste. 150 grams of carrots cut into chunks. Well, that was a closer guesstimate. So there we go. And then we go next, some oil. Okay, this is going to be, we're going to chop it down, we're going to cook it off to make a beautiful paste. Not paste, I don't know. Liquid that's going to become what then becomes our slow cook liquid around this in here. So let's click on next, and I think we're going to chop it. So instead of measuring cup, I'm trying to stay away, by the way, from the top of the pan here so I don't burn myself, because I can feel that heat still coming off it. The beautiful thing about it being good quality cookware is it holds the heat. I actually had to wait about 20 minutes standing here before I could start because it was sizzling still. That's how hot it is still. So now we've got 7 seconds on speed 5. Let's give that a spin up to speed 5. It's going to chop that down. Okay, done. Click on next, scrape down the sides. That's how we get an even cook. I'm not going to be too worried. Let me show you that chop though. If you're not familiar with thermomixing and the chop, one of my most favorite things. And welcome, if you're not familiar with me, welcome as well. So 5 minutes, off we go on a slow speed. And this is when it actually suggests you cook off this. So obviously I wasn't going to show you how to cook it off on a stovetop with some oil in it, but I actually did it in the container that it's now going to go in the oven in. So you might not, though you might not have enough capacity, you may need to do it in a fry pan or on a barbecue hot plate, perfectly fine. But you sear it off because it enhances and caramelizes the flavor of the meat. That's the searing process, that's why we do it. So it says to heat your pan, cook off your lamb shanks, put some salt and pepper on them, and then put them into Betty. So Betty is the UK casserole dish that has a lid. Use a dish that you have a lid for. Or if you don't have a lid, some alfoil with a couple of holes poked in it. But make sure it's a high-sided dish in this recipe because you do have to put a sauce on top of it for it to cook within. So a low-set one won't be tall enough, okay? So it might be okay if your meat can fit flat, so then you've got enough height in that liquid. But just see what you've got in your cupboard to use for this recipe. So it wants you to go into Betty. In essence, I cooked in Betty. This is not obviously Betty, but I cooked in it on the stovetop because I don't like any extra washing up. So you can see now it's got a 3.5 minute cook time left. Now, talking about all things winter warmer, and I do hope you're enjoying these recipes, our Cookie Do platform has hashtags. So you can actually put hashtag winter or hashtag soups or hashtag gluten-free and actually find recipes that have been specifically tagged to that topic or theme. So just in case you've got Cookie Do and you didn't realize, type into the search bar hashtag and whatever you want like that, and it'll tag it up if it's been tagged. So that's a pretty cool thing to know if you didn't know that already. So handy to know. This has still got 3 minutes. I'm really struggling waiting this long. I will call it quits after 1 more minute, which will be a 3-minute cook time then, which to me is long enough to cook off onion and garlic usually. It is going to go in an oven and cook even longer anyway. And that's something to note. If you're not familiar with cooking things like lamb shanks and searing off, when you sear off, you're actually not trying to cook it through. You're just caramelizing the outside. The 3.5 hours in the oven is what will cook this through to be absolutely melt in the mouth, fall off the bone, beautiful meat. So you're not trying to cook it through, you will just dry out and make it go really not the way you want it to go if you try to cook it off on the stovetop, okay? It is a meat that needs to, it's got sinew. It's got, when you look at it, it's got that sinew through it. That's what needs to dissolve pretty much in a slow cook process. So just a little tip if you're not familiar with searing off meat. All right, this is up to 95. I can see can you see that coming out the top? So I'm gonna push that button to stop it, just because I'm impatient. If you're at home, you can walk off. You can go do the washing, you can go talk to the neighbors, you can do wash up, put things away, all that stuff. Now, this is where I'm changing it up. So I said earlier about not using the bowl to put all that stuff in. So this is where I'm actually going to come up to, let me just bring it up the top here, the 3 dots next to the next button. Don't know if I can do it with 2 hands. Can you see the 3 dots next to the next button? And click on those 3 dots. I'm going to go to recipe details, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm actually going to go back to the very beginning. So I'm going to now click on the first step, and it's going to say, oh, back we go. There we are. So now we just go next, and we can literally add what it wants in. So first things first, 200 grams of red wine, full-bodied. We just bought cheap red wine. Not something we normally have in the house unless I've been gifted it or earned it as a consultant, and then it sits around and we eventually go through it. So it doesn't have to be, I don't think, it doesn't have to be anything special. Okay, just a red wine is fine. I don't know that you could do lamb shanks without it because it is kind of that thing that complements it and breaks down the fibers, and I don't think you can go that red wine if you're not a wine drinker. I'm sorry, there might be non-alcoholic versions, but I'm not sure, and I haven't cooked with them, so I can't talk on that topic. Okay, 400 grams of 10 tomatoes chopped. In they go. You'll notice I'm putting it through the lid today, the MC hole, just because, no particular reason. Okay, next we've got some balsamic vinegar. If you don't have balsamic, you know what, just use apple cider or white vinegar. It's not going to be exactly the same, but in all honesty, it'll be okay. Those of you the other week who were watching on with my making your own vinegar, I reckon that'd be lovely in here. It's not ready yet. It hasn't been long enough, but I think that would be beautiful in here. I do apologize for the quality of that because I ran it as a live video into my group and then I downloaded it out. It lost quality. And well, actually the live video wasn't that great either. We have really poor internet for streaming here in my home. So 50 grams of tomato puree. I still hope you feel inspired by it though. You know, sometimes I go, oh, will I or won't I share it even though the quality's not fantastic? And I decide, sometimes I don't, but most of the time I decide to because I figure I'd rather you be able to fast forward and still take tips and hints away from it even though it's not fantastic, than just, you know, put it in the trash can and not use it again. So I do hope that you're able to actually take some tips away from that. Okay, some water. Hopefully I've got some up the back here. Yes, I do. In that goes. So, you know, by doing this step now, it means that I don't have an extra bowl to wash up. Okay, so I'm just going to put it through to stir once I've got these ingredients in. So now it wants the beef stock cube, which in our world is 1 tablespoon of veggie stock. Look at this, I'm running out again. I feel like it was only yesterday I was making this again. So 1 tablespoon of that goes in. And then a few herbs, I think, from memory. What's it say up there? Some sprigs of rosemary, so fresh from the garden. Can I really suggest that if you don't grow rosemary, go grab a punnet from your local produce hardware, whoever sells it, and grow it. It grows really well. And you can just keep it. It's kind of one of those things that once you've got it established, it will just grow forever. It'll grow out of control. So I would highly suggest rosemary is one of the ones that I would say that grow that. Next up, it wants some oregano. What's that say? How much oregano? And 2 teaspoons. So I'm just guesstimating my oregano. I reckon you could use fresh if you had fresh. We don't have enough. Ours is still establishing. And that's it. So that's all we need for that sauce. Now I could either stir it together with the spatula. I'm going to do a bit of a cheat. I'm going to go to my house and I'm just going to stir it through on reverse. Probably doesn't matter if you forget reverse. 4, it's 1.5, speed 2. 2.5 because I'm impatient, and that's now combined it. So now if we jump back to our recipe over here, and now I could just jump through. I'm just going to use recipe detail again, scroll down and get to the step I was up to earlier, which I think now we are at the point of putting the casserole dish in the oven. So there's that with the lid on, which is the reason at the beginning I said as well, choose one that you can put a lid on, or it's high enough to put alfoil over with a couple of holes in. So now we're putting this beautiful mix, just scrape down the sides because I didn't do that earlier. It looks absolutely luscious. So in this goes, over the top, and lid on and into the oven, 3.5 hours. So I will take a photo of the final product. Let me try and just put this in and show you. I'll kind of hold it up a little bit and give you guys a show. I'm going to make it, the mashed potato for 2, double that recipe, and actually serve it with mashed potato because nothing says winter warmers like mashed potato. If you haven't seen that video, I think I've got one here on YouTube. Just go check it out. I'll try and put it at the end if I have, so that you guys can have easy access to that. But meat covered, sauce in, ready to go. Because it's going to have the lid on, which I didn't bring in with me, but because it's going to have the lid on in the oven, it won't evaporate out. So it is okay for a bit of your meat sitting outside of the sauce because it'll actually create like a little oven in there as well. So then cover and place in the casserole dish and cook in the oven 3 to 3.5 hours, 150 degrees until the lamb is tender and falling off the bone. So thanks for joining me today, guys. Give this recipe a go. UK Cookie Do is where you'll find it. Let me know if I need to give you a hand adjusting your filters. I'm here to support you to get the most out of your Thermomix. Please share these videos with your friends and family who have a Thermomix and need to get more out of it, or those who need the ease a Thermomix brings. So there's nothing more satisfying than making food from scratch for your family, knowing what's exactly in it and doing it without the stress, you know, or maybe it's just for yourself. That's also okay, but it's without having to go, oh, what will I make? Oh, it's 5 o'clock, what should I do? Which is what my life was like before I had a Thermomix. So if I can support you in any way with a Thermomix, getting your hands on a Thermomix if you're in Australia, do reach out. But otherwise, guys, take care. I hope you're enjoying these video series and I can't wait to inspire you more with another video. So thank you for joining me today.